Hi everyone, Armoured Pants here, and I have another review for you, another tank in the American line, the Tier 6 T37, following on from the M4 Sherman, which we recently reviewed. As always, we have a complete guide, and we will use blitzhanger.com to look at the tech spec first. Now, as we discussed when we did the Chaffee review, you're moving from a medium tank to a light tank when you go to the T37. And this is extremely difficult, particularly if you haven't played a light tank before, which if you're just going along this line, you won't have done. That's a big change. You need to be prepared. So therefore, watch the light tank guide that we have here on channel, because it explains to you what a light tank is, what it should be doing during the game. Now, this is a good light tank. As I said, watch the light tank guide, please, because if you haven't played a light tank before, you will struggle. In terms of provisions, I would run Coca-Cola. It gets the view range up to 296.3, which is really good for Tier 6. There are 4 gun options, 2 75mm and 2 76mm guns, which are the top guns, and one is a single shot and one is an autoloader. Top gun has better reload. It also has better DPM, but I recommend the autoloader, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes. Now, 13.3 second magazine on reload on the autoloader, 2.5 seconds between shells, 120mm of pen with AP, 175mm of pen with APCR, and HE gives you 38mm of pen. Muzzle velocity is 792 meters per second, which goes up to 1030 meters per second with supercharge. You get 1546 meters per second with APCR, so there's different muzzle velocities by shell, so watch that with your shell management. I would run vertical stabilizer because you're in a light tank, you're going to be firing a lot when moving, so therefore run the vertical stabilizer. It helps a lot in penning and getting good shots off when moving. The tank has 9 degrees of gun depression, 20 of elevation, which means gun alignment is really good. Basically, gun alignment means aligning your barrel with your target. It's easy, it's good when you have more gun depression, more elevation, as you do with this tank. Now, I would run supercharge as well, as you can see here, as vertical stabilizer and gun rammer. This tank is fast. It does 66 kilometers per hour, 22 in reverse, so it's a very agile tank. It gets around the map really well, and you won't be disappointed. It also, unlike many American tanks, has very good power to weight ratio. And this is extremely important because most US tanks suffer from this. So it's unlike most American light tanks like the Chaffee and most medium tanks like the M4, the EZ8, all the way up to Tier 10. They suffer from power to weight ratio, which means that they're fast, but they're slow to get started. That's not the case with this tank. It has good power to weight ratio, so it takes off pretty quickly. It's very nimble and agile. Its traverse speed is also really good, which makes it a very good brawler. It also has excellent concealment numbers. So if you take a tank with a 292 meter view range, it has to get within 226 meters of you to see you, which is really good. And that's if you're not in soft cover or hard cover. It's even better if you are. That, of course, is if you're not firing or moving. Obviously, you lose concealment when you fire or move, which is important. Don't fire and don't move unless you have to. You see guys firing off shells for no reason. They're giving away their position. Don't do that. Now, this tank has no armor. It's a light tank. Light tanks don't have armor. You're going to get penned by everything and everywhere. One thing it does have, though, is it has this large gun mantlet, which basically can't be penned. So if you go hull down, what do we mean by hull down? It means you just hide the bottom of the tank and you only show the turret. It's a good tactic when you have a tank that has good gun depression. Anything above 8 degrees is usually pretty good. This has 9 degrees, not as good as some American tanks, but it's decent enough. That means that you can just come over a hill, pop over your turret and fire. The enemy will have only your turret as a target, and with that gun mantlet they have to avoid that, so they have a tiny target to fire at. So going hull down in this tank is a tactic. As we said, that gun elevation, that gun depression makes gun alignment in this tank very good, very easy. Now, against Tier 5, Tier 6, Tier 7, doesn't matter. You don't have any armor. Forget about it. You might get the odd troll bounce, but that's just RNG. It's not down to you or the tactics or the tank. So in terms of tactics, what should you do? Well, firstly, I can't recommend this enough. Watch the light tank guide that we have here on the channel. It tells you exactly what you should be doing with a light tank and how you should be playing it. But essentially, to summarize, what you should do is you have this view range, you have this concealment, you have this speed. That is a winning combo. You get out there and you spot the enemy. That is your job. That is what you should be doing. Now, before we go on to gameplay, I want to take a quick time out. And the reason I want to do this is I want to have a sort of mini tutorial on the autoloader and playing an autoloader. Why? Well, firstly, I recommended to you that we should use the autoloader on this, and there's a particular reason for it. Because all of the tanks that succeed this, the T71, the T69, the T54E1 and the T57 Heavy at the top tier, are all autoloaders. And I think it's essential to practice therefore with an autoloader, especially at tier 6. It's much easier than practicing at tier 7, right? So playing autoloaders. This line here represents playing in an ordinary tank with a single shot mechanism. What it means is that you're effectively engaging the enemy at a relatively even level throughout the game, right? So because you have the same amount of time between your shell reload, you engage the enemy at an even level throughout the game. Obviously you can drop adrenaline and change that slightly, but more or less you engage the enemy in that respect. With an autoloader, you engage in this way. You have periods of increased activity when you're reloaded and therefore unloading your full magazine. But then you dip down when you're reloading the magazine, where you have periods of decreased activity, where you are engaging far less and can do far less in the game than you can with an ordinary tank with single shot. So in other words, your engagement fluctuates. You don't have a single level, consistent level of engagement throughout the game, and therefore you must plan accordingly. You plan to engage the enemy as much as possible when you're fully reloaded. You have this increased activity, you have burst damage, you can do huge amounts of damage, more than single shot tanks. But when you're reloading, you've decreased activity, you can influence and affect the enemy far less than a tank with a single shot mechanism. And you therefore need to plan accordingly to play in these dips and waves. And you need to, when you are loaded and have increased activity, engage. When you've decreased activity, you need to do other things. For example, capture bases, spot, scout, stay out of trouble. So playing autoloaders, here's some quick points to know. Count your shells. It's always important you know how many you have. You don't want to get into a brawl with only one shell in the pipe, right? Stay safe while you reload. This may seem like a simple thing to do, but so often you see guys getting involved in brawls and face hugging when they have no shells in the magazine. Use your inactive time to reload. So for example, if you're moving to engage the enemy across the map, you're not firing, do a full reload. If you're doing a base capture, do a full reload. Even if you've only fired one of your 3 shells, do a full reload. Remember to keep the shell icon open. Why? Keep it open throughout the map, because when you tap on a shell, you automatically reload the full magazine. You don't need to fire. That is an amateur mistake that people who have just started playing autoloaders do. They have fired off 2 to 3 shells. They want to do a full reload, so they fire off the last shell. You don't have to do that. If you keep your ammunition icon open, tap on one of the shells and it gives a full reload. This saves you wasting rounds, which is of course waste credits, and it also saves you breaking camo, because you fired off a round, your camo breaks. So therefore doing your reload using the shell icon saves you having to do that. So please remember to do that, and reload as often as you can to maximize your burst damage. So if you fired off even 1 round and you've got 2 rounds left in your magazine, but you're doing a base capture, so you're not going to be engaging the enemy for 10 to 15 seconds, do a full reload. So often you see players driving around with 1 shell. They've got 20 to 25 seconds to get to the next enemy target. They don't use that time for the full reload. They arrive, fire after shell, and then they have to wait another 10 to 15 seconds to reload the full magazine. Use your downtime to always ensure you have the maximum amount of shells available. Simple rule, but it's a tough discipline to keep, but make sure you do it. Now, We're going to have a look at some gameplay in the T37. As promised, I'm running the Autoloader. Now this is a normal Autoloader. It's not the automatic reloading Autoloader which you have in the European line of tanks, which is a lot easier to play. This is not a standard Autoloader, which has 3 rounds. When you fire them off, you then have to reload the magazine completely, which takes 13.3 seconds, and I have 2.5 seconds between my shells. Now, I've checked the setup here at the start of the game, and I think there's a good chance that we can catch their 2 heavy tanks, the Arl and the Churchill, and eliminate them from the game. Plus, we have a good chance of capturing C. That's what we did. I wanted my entire team. There, by the way, you see a troll bounce. As I said, it's just RNG. It's nothing you can do about it. You can't play for it. Possibly hit the mantlet of the tank. Now, I wanted my whole team to push C. They didn't. So you saw when we went to C, the Arl was able to put some damage in on me. But nonetheless, we are able to flank and get behind their heavy tanks. The Churchill is a notoriously slow tank, and I am a really agile mobile tank. So I've come in here, just had a quick replay looking at the burst damage I put into him. I've taken over half his hit points with 1 magazine. Now you see the beauty of a light tank. There's absolutely no way in God's green heaven that this guy is going to be able to get out of this. He is FUCKED'd. It doesn't matter what he does, it doesn't matter what player he is, it doesn't matter if he's the best Unicum player in the world. He is not going to be able to defy the laws of physics and get out of this. He's just gonzo. Now I'm just going to speed this up just so you can see the effect of using burst damage to its maximum capabilities. I come up behind him only 25 seconds ago and he's gone. Big tier 6 heavy tank with over 1100 DP, he's just gone. And you know, that's the agility and the speed of this tank. Now the tactics didn't work out completely because it would have been better if my whole team had gone towards C, but as it happens they didn't. They went off towards A. A lot of people don't read, they don't communicate at the start of games. This is a team game. It's all about communication. There's no real bad move to do at a game as long as you inform your team about it and as long as you agree upon it. The worst thing to do is that, you know, you agree upon a plan and then somebody goes and does something else. That is wrong. That's a bad move. But if you agree on a plan and then decide to do it, there's no real bad plans. They can all work out. You see again the burst damage cleared him off. And this is what the great thing about autoloaders, you know, they can do huge amount of damage. It's this increased level of engagement that we looked at in the graph, which you can't do with other tanks. Now, I'm going to slow this down here because I want to show you my tactics here against the Leopard. I go for his tracks. Why? That reason. Because the Leopard is going to unload his magazine. And if you hit his tracks, you spin him. And then his shots go astray. If you're in a light tank, a Leopard is extremely dangerous because he just shreds your armor. He can do anything from 200 to 300 damage to you with a full magazine unload into you, and that's really, really painful. However, a good tactic with a Leopard is if you can fire a shot into him, hit him in the tracks as I did there, you spin him as you saw, and his magazine, because he can't stop firing the magazine once he's unloaded it, or you can't stop firing the entire magazine, and therefore he wastes his shots as you saw there. So I avoided taking anything from 150 to 200 damage there by hitting him in the tracks. And there you go, game over. And that's sort of very typical of a light tank game. Your games are fast and furious, and if you play a light tank game well, they can be over in 2.5 to 3 minutes. By the way, if you play a light tank game badly, it can be over in 30 seconds. Because you have no armor, you can be one-shotted by many things. Particularly if you're a tier 6, you get up-tiered, you got an SU-152, he can one-shot you, no problem whatsoever. That's why spotting and scouting is so essential to your role. You're not only helping your team by relaying back to positions of the enemy, you're helping yourself. In particular, you want to use your view range, your speed and your concealment to spot the big guns on the opposite team. They're the apex predators. They're the things that feed on you, and they're always looking for a tasty morsel. So do yourself a favor, get out there and spot them up early. Once you know where they are, once you can avoid them, then you own the map, because you're the fastest thing out there. You can get around the map with impunity, and you can do huge damage, particularly if you have an autoloader like this, or if you're in a bat chat, something like the French autoloaders as well. You get up behind the enemy, as I did in the with the Churchill. You've got an autoloader, as you saw, half his hit points, over half his hit points gone in the first magazine unload. So let's have a recap. This is a good light tank, and it's perfect practice for the higher tiers, particularly with the autoloader, which is why I recommend you use it, even though the Top Gun has better stats. Going to a light tank is a big jump, so therefore, again I reiterate, please watch the light tank guide if you haven't played light tanks before. As the SAS say, you can train hard and then fight easy, or you can train easy and then fight hard. I know which I prefer. So therefore, prepare before you go into the battlefield. Use the autoloader, load up APCR, because you're going to need it when you're up tiered, because you've low penetration on 120mm with AP. You've got a 13.3 second reload for the magazine and 2.5 second shell reload. You've got good power to weight ratio, which is better than most US tanks, so take note of that. This tank is fast, agile and mobile. Traverse is excellent, which makes this an agile and excellent brawler. Just count your shells before you go in, as we said earlier on. Gun alignment is excellent, utilize that. It's really good on American tanks, and this is no exception. Your speed, view range and concealment, they are your tools. They're a winning combo. Use them. When you're up tiered, it's actually less of a problem in a light tank, because you want to avoid being hit. You don't have any armor anyway, so the same tactics apply, but you will need APCR. Spot, relay those positions, help yourself and help your team, as we discussed already. I would also recommend that you take this T37 with the autoloader into a training map, practice doing the reload by using the shell icon, and practice with the speed and concealment of the tank. Cheers Mush, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you found it useful, and I guess all that remains for me to say is pants off.